I just had the weirdest freaking dream ever. Okay. I was talking to the Queen. Yeah, you heard me right. The fucking Queen, Elizabeth. And I was helping her navigate through what looked like a marshy kind of fucking swamp area with certain elevated parts to it so it wasn't all mushy. And there was fucking native people. Like, we're talking hardcore native, like people that never seen people. But they were helping her. And they were helping me help her. And it's like they would take over once in a while, and then they would require me to take over and guide her through this swampy shit. It was so weird. And there was like a whole fucking battle in the W word. I'm not gonna say it because I don't want to. And prior to that, I was talking to a friend of mine, trying to explain to my friend. I was trying to tell her, why do you think the W word? Why do you think like they started that whole thing? She's like, well, because they wanted to. And I was like, who the fuck actually wants to start a war? There's always a reason behind something like that. And then I was trying to tell her about the whole idea of how women were taught to chase men. And she's like, what are you talking about? I was like, literally, they were trained to give it up easy so that guys didn't have to fight for it. They were like manipulated and trained because back in the day they used to just wait, right? Before laying with a partner, before laying with a man. And over the time, it's almost like men became, not all men, stick with me now, okay? I'm talking centuries ago, they became impatient, they became pissed off about it, and they've eventually, over time, created like this scenario where women are chasing men for shit, and not all of them, but, and like making it so that it's easy for men to have access to a woman, right? They kind of flipped it, and I was like, women never used to be like that. It's like they were forced to give it up. And I was like, it's like they were like forced into it. And I was like, it's like a war. And I didn't want to say the word, but I said it anyways. So I was explaining this to her, and I don't think she was truly understanding. And then I was like, I see the queen over there. She's just standing by like a doorway waiting for something. And she wasn't she wasn't brittle, she wasn't fragile. She was actually quite young. Like, not quite at her first stage, but she was actually quite young. She was just standing there waiting, almost like ducking every once in a while, just kind of waiting for somebody to give her the go-ahead. And so I was like, I couldn't explain to my friend, so I was like, fine, I'll explain it to the queen. And I'm trying to talk to her, and she's like completely not giving me her undivided attention. She's still waiting at the door, waiting. And that's when I started, like, we were both escorted through the door, and we're going through the swampy marsh elevated area. And we're very, very low. And as we're low, I'm trying to explain it to her because I was like, she must know. Right? She's got the answer to things. And as I'm explaining to her, she's just kind of like, without looking at me directly, she's just like kind of like nodding. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then we would move a little bit, and then we would stop. And then we move forward a little bit, and then we would stop. And I'm still, again, trying to get her to acknowledge what the fuck I'm talking about. But this whole idea that women were like encouraged and like guided and then slowly like manipulated and turned into fucking like slaves, I swear to God. And we finally reached the end. And it's almost like it goes from outdoor scenery into like a building, but it's modern day. again, there's still the natives there, and they finally leave, and then we're guided behind a bunch of these men that are just standing there staring out, watching the whole thing happen. And we're guided around them to the back. And then I say out loud, I was like, well, isn't that convenient how they're all just standing there watching everybody kill each other? And I was like, oh, we'll just stand here and watch everybody take each other out. And then she goes off somewhere. And then it kind of turns into like Simpsons theme, because you got different characters from The Simpsons. And then there's a couple different doorways to go through. And you got specifically Bart, who is like older. And he's like drinking and stuff. And then you've got other characters there. And I don't know, some joke about a train. And then somebody fixing up something with like a B-O-M-B thing on it. And I don't know much more after that. I kind of woke up. But that was so random, so weird. And I was like, how am I talking to the queen right now? How am I having a conversation? She's dead. Like, we go from like a churchyard scenario to indoors to through a swampy thing to another indoors. It's just like, if anybody knows dreams, I mean, I'm used to trying to decipher, but that was wild. I don't understand what just happened.